Let's turn to Pete and see if Pete's got any questions from the chat room.
Cool. Yep, got a couple for you. First of all, what kind of springboard have you got from doing this film?
That's from the Reynolds film. The springboard, well, that remains to be seen. We've got some fantastic contacts out of it. Well, I mean, yourself, for example. I wouldn't be here if we hadn't done it. So, we also got blogged about around the world. A guy called Scott Myers who writes Go Into the Story, a fantastic writer over in LA. People have been blogging about it, so it's been getting a lot of attention, and it's really rewarding to have written something or created something that's getting such a good response visually and in terms of the storyline. It's a 2-minute silent story, whereas previously we'd made a 50-minute B movie, which you know, people do turn their noses up at zombie movies. So it's really rewarding just for having done it. But the real answer, the springboard there, is what happens on Tuesday. We won the national public vote, which was fantastic, thanks to the huge amounts of support we got from people globally and extended networks of friends and fans. So huge, big shout out to everybody there. But the real springboard, I think, will come next Tuesday.
Right.
We're up against 9 other films, and if we win, then, well, Raindance will be making our next picture.
Right, okay. Any other questions, Pete?
Yep. Tony FCP wants to know, how many effects artists did you have working on Zomblies, and was it all in After Effects?
It was a combination of After Effects and 3ds Max, and we had myself and a chap called Elliot doing After Effects work, and we had Shaz doing all the 3D stuff. We had a couple of other shots that were helped with outsourced, but I'd say probably 99.5% was done in-house between the three of us.
Right. And did you have you got some network in your house, and you know you're shifting data around?
We sometimes it comes down to sneakernet, so USB stick across the office. But yeah, we've just Etherneted our office together. We've built our own machines. They're all like the top end, but top end these days is like 500 quid off overclockers.co.uk. You build it yourself, and you network them all together, and you can compete.
So unusually for the creative industries, you're PC based.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a personal taste thing. I've grown up. I've had a PC since I was this big, and I love the iPhone. Absolutely brilliant, but I don't get on with Macs terribly well, so we just do it all with PC. It works.
Okay. Any other questions, Pete?
Yeah, one last one from 555 Films. What do you think of the Nikon DSLRs?
This is a point of argument that I had with a guy for quite a while who claimed that Nikons could stop bullets. I don't know about you, I haven't been shot at an awful lot in my line. I love the Canon stuff. Nikon make fantastic glass, but they're just not competing with video at the moment. I do a little bit of stills, but I'm a video man, so Nikon just doesn't do it for me. Love the glass, not a fan of the SLRs.
Right.
I'm a Canon man. But then, there's a big problem with just focusing on the camera. Don't do it. Go out and tell a story.
Exactly. It is, at the end of the day, it is just one of the tools in your arsenal. And, having just been at the broadcast show, the BBE yesterday, it was just like kit everywhere, and people getting very excited by all this technology. And sure, it isn't a screenwriter's expo, so why would it be about story? But I get so many emerging filmmakers who come to me, and number 2 question is, which camera should I use? Number 1 question is, do you have any money you can give me? Which sadly no. But it always comes down to the camera, and I can understand the logic of that, because that is it does make sense. But the more you know, the more you realise that it's what's in front of the camera that's as important as the glass that it's going through to hit a CCD.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just something that people tend to naturally latch onto. Oh, I've got a really good camera, so I'm a really good filmmaker. But it doesn't matter how many shallow depth of field shots of a fruit bowl you do. If you were to go out with a microphone and record the sound of traffic, that's one element of your film. You wouldn't call yourself a filmmaker. If you go out and do shallow depth of field shots of whatever, you're a DOP, or you're becoming a DOP. That doesn't make you a filmmaker. There is so much more to it. You just have to go out and just do it. There are so many beautiful elements to this industry. Don't just do some shallow depth of field stuff and stick it on Vimeo and let that be it and wait for it to come to you. It's a great path to becoming a DOP, but there is so much more to filmmaking.
Right, okay, so final 2 questions, which I always ask everyone. What mistakes have you made?
What mistakes have I made? Casting myself in a movie. Just don't go there, unless you're Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And in fact, sometimes even not then. But just don't put yourself in front of the camera. Whether you can act or not, especially if you want to be a director, focus on the story that's being told, get behind the camera and let somebody else do it. There, you know, actors, camera, sound, light, it's all tools for telling a story, and don't be a tool, right? It just makes sense. So that's the biggest mistake, I guess.
Okay, and my final question, again I ask everyone, what single piece of advice would you offer an emerging filmmaker, creative person? Can be anything, life advice, filmmaking advice, absolutely anything.
Right. Don't just write about it, don't just talk about it, don't just think about it, don't just read about it. Go out and friggin' do it, right? Go out and have the nuts to go and make a whole bunch of mistakes, make your picture, and don't think small, right? You've got to do something that is going to want to get people. At the end of the day, it boils down to, will people get a babysitter in, drive 5 miles and pay $10 a head to come and see my movie? If it's not enough of a call, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be a commercial success. You're not going to be a filmmaker. End of story. So get a big idea and don't be afraid to have a big idea. And that's us. That's what we try and do anyway.
Well, listen, Dave, thanks so much for coming to talk to us and share all your experiences on your movies.